What is going on, guys? We are back with another full card predictions. This week we got Randy Brown taking on Gabriel Bonfim in the main event. Super interested in this matchup. Definitely can shake up the welterweight division. You already know what we're going to do. Break down each fighter, ultimately locking in the picks. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get the video underway. First fighter tonight, we got Robert Valentin taking on Jackson McVeigh. Initially, I'm leaning Jackson McVeigh's side. I do like his striking from range a lot better. I think his kicks are better, at least from distance. When they do tie up, because that is an element that Robert Valentin can bring to this fight, he does have the better jiu-jitsu, but his pure wrestling, I don't think he is better than McVeigh. When the fight does hit the floor, it could create a couple scenarios where he can scramble into submission attempts. We saw that against Ryan Loder, but he is riding a 3-fight losing streak right now. We see him Loder knock him out with the ground and pound. He got smothered against Torres Finney, but he did create a lot of damage off of his back, and in that third round he was walking forward with the strikes as well. And then he ran into Teba Gautier, which I don't blame him at all, because Gautier is looking like a monster right now in the middleweight division. On Jackson McVeigh's side, yes, he doesn't have a lot of pro experience. 6-1, ran into Bruno Ferreira last time out. But Bruno Ferreira, I feel as though, is a much better grappler and striker than Robert Valentin. Valentin's only clear advantage to me in this fight is the grappling, but I think McVeigh can keep him at distance. He's got a really long frame, 6'4", long legs. I think he's going to be kicking a lot. There will be opportunities for Valentin to tie up a leg. I think they might, get to a scramble, but I do favor McVeigh's. He favors a front headlock position that I think he can tie Valentin up in. Loder, who's not really that experienced either, had Valentin in that same position where he was chasing takedowns, and I think McVeigh can create this similar scenario. I do favor McVeigh striking. Like I said, I do think he might have the power advantage, but Valentin, when the going gets tough, he can throw some pretty interesting blitzes in there. We saw that against Ryan Loder in that first round too. Finney, again, like I said, smothered him up, and then Gautier blitzing him the way that he did. Gautier is a whole nother human being at this point. But I'm going to lean Jackson McVeigh. I think he's got, the slightly better upside. We've seen Robert Valentin just lose. I think if he loses here, especially against a guy who made a short notice debut, didn't really have enough time to, in my opinion, turn around and make a huge, significant improvement to his game. If he loses here, I think he might be headed out of the UFC. For McVeigh, I think he can time some low kicks. I think he can time head kick, and I think his striking from range should be able to get him at least a 29-28 in my opinion. But if the fight does hit the ground, I will favor Valentin. Does he sub him? I don't think so, but we've seen strange things happen before. But I am slightly leaning McVeigh. I do think this fight is pretty close on the money. We can look at the odds now. McVeigh underdog plus 130, Robert Valentin minus 150 on the money line. Dog. I didn't expect McVeigh to be the dog, honestly. Oh, minus 175 now, plus 150. Over 1.5 is plus money, so they're expecting a finish. I don't know, man. We go through McVeigh's record. Like, he's got knockouts, he's got submissions. It's not against high-level competition, but you can really say the same against, Robert Valentin. TKO over a 15-25 guy, 11-3 submission, and then since we've seen him in the UFC, he's got the 2 wins on Ultimate Fighter, but I don't really count those. Those are exhibitions. TKO to Ryan Loder, who we've just seen get TKO'd. Torres Finney, who we have yet to see fight in the UFC. We saw him fight Valentin, but again, trash. And then Gautier, you can't really blame him. I don't know. I think this should be a closer money. I'm slightly lean McVeigh, but we'll see throughout the week. Definitely want to see these guys on the scales. That short notice step in for McVeigh against Bruno Ferreira, I don't really fault him for that, because Bruno Ferreira is pretty tough. We've seen him in there with Boost. We've seen him in there with RoboCop. So for him to deal with the power and just get submitted, it doesn't really scream that he's trash, in my opinion. So I'm going to slightly lean McVeigh, slight dog to open the card up. And let's get to the next fight. We got Miles Johns taking on Daniel Marcos. I'm picking Daniel Marcos in this matchup. It is not necessarily a short notice fight, but they did just put this fight together. Miles Johns was supposed to fight last weekend. He was supposed to fight Muin Gavrov. That's right. So now he's taking on Daniel Marcos, who I think is a better kickboxer than Miles Johns. I think he can create his own wrestling scenarios. He's got really good takedown defense. We saw him, get grappled against Montel Jackson last time out, but he also created some scrambles and was on the offensive wrestling in that fight as well. And then we just seen Montel Jackson lose to Davison Figueiredo. So Daniel Marcos was damn near in the top 15 if the decision went the other way. I thought he snagged a round. I think that second round was a little closer than a lot of people had it, but not a bad loss to have on the record. 17-1. I think his striking is way better than Miles Johns. Miles Johns loads up a lot. We saw that in the G Matsumoto fight 2 months ago. Him turning around this soon doesn't really excite me. He's got like a really small frame too. He's going to be looping a lot of overhands and looking to close the distance with the hooks and pressure grapple, but I don't think he's going to have a lot of success against Daniel Marcos, who has really good footwork, who can create some really nasty knees down the middle. We've seen him finish who was it? What's his name? It's escaping. Simon Oliveira, yeah, knee to the body in that second round. Beat John Castaneda, which is kind of a similar style that Miles Johns is going to present. I think John Castaneda is better than Miles Johns, but I think Daniel Marcos wins this fight pretty cleanly, 29-28. I can see Miles Johns probably having a little success later in like the third round, but I think Marcos will be too clean from the outside. I think he's going to pick him apart, and I can see him winning on the judges' scorecards. Where are we at? Minus 170 for Daniel, plus 145 for Miles Johns. Sounds about right to me. Over 2.5, minus 300. Yeah, I think we're getting a decision. I don't think Miles Johns hasn't been chinny. He lost to Felipe Lima, who's a really good prospect, and then G Matsumoto. I thought Matsumoto would be able to finish him. Thought he had a little bit of a power advantage, but he was able to hang in there with him. So I think Marcos wins it on the scorecards. Gets back in the W column. Next fight, we got Tisha Pennington taking on Denise Gomes. This is a good fight. Initially, I will be transparent. I made all my picks Sunday, but I also was watching football, so things could be a little foggy, When I'm going through it live during the recording now, I am getting a little bit of a different read. Initially, I did pick Denise Gomes, but I have to say, Tisha Pennington, the speed, the way that she's able to close the distance and have the wrestling in her back pocket does interest me, especially seeing that she is dog money. I think this could end up being a split decision. This is definitely a fight that I would look at, fight to end in split decision. That's something I'm definitely going to bet. I think Tisha Pennington can get her offense off a lot sooner than Denise Gomes, who at times does load up, looks for the power shots. I don't think she's going to have success in the wrestling. We've seen her be able to body, a couple of females in her run. Lost to Angela Hill almost 2 years ago, but this is a similar matchup to me, in my opinion. I know Angela Hill doesn't have like a significant reach advantage, and Tisha is pretty small, but Tisha, I feel, is probably a little faster than Angela Hill and can create the same striking scenarios. And Tisha's pretty gritty as well. I do like that Tisha Pennington has been fighting fairly often. 5 months ago, Luana Pinheiro win, and then a year ago, Carla Esparza. Yes, she has a loss to Tabitha Ritchie, but that's like the same matchup, honestly. If you look at Tisha and Tabitha, I was about to say Tisha and Tisha, they're kind of like the same fighter. I think Tisha's live to win. I definitely think it's going to be a split decision. I can see Denise Gomes having success with the striking, but Tisha isn't somebody that's just going to sit there and slug it out. She'll, dart in, get her shots off. She's got really good boxing combinations too, and I can see her dropping down to Denise Gomes' hips, tying some clinch scenarios or even a takedown. I can see her getting Denise real comfortable with striking, overcommitting on a lot of shots, and blitzing her with a takedown. So it's a close fight. Initial lean, I'm going Denise Gomes, but Tisha Pennington will definitely find herself on the favorite underdogs category when we get to Wednesday's show. So good fight. This is a good strawweight women's fight. Let's get to the odds. We got Where's she at? Where the ladies at? Here we go. Plus 160 for Tisha, minus 185 for Denise Gomes. Over. Definitely think we're going over 2.5. Would love to see that split decision prop because I will be betting that. I'm telling you that now. So look out for that. If it's like plus 200, then But if it's upwards of 300-400, definitely hammering that. Next fight, we got Josh HOKIT taking on Max GIMENIS. I'll be honest, there's not a lot of combat footage of Max GIMENIS, at least MMA footage. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu footage, and he seems to be legit in jiu-jitsu, but this is mixed martial arts, you know what I'm saying? 2.5 years ago, got knocked out by David White, 2-4 fighter. I'm picking Josh HOKIT, but there's an element of Max GIMENIS who has really good trips, don't necessarily see the takedown game because it's a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions for him. So it's a lot of, tosses, judo throws, trips of that order. If he does get on top of Josh HOKIT, it can be trouble for him because Josh HOKIT is just a natural athlete, used to play football, has wrestling in his background too. Boxing combinations are starting to look a lot better. He's got power, definitely loves to get guys down to the ground, take them out, ground and pound. He's been knocking out damn near everybody that he's fought, submission over in Bellator, and then he's also got this sub in the LFA. I'm picking Josh HOKIT, but the wide favorite status that he is definitely is something that I don't like. We know Max GIMENIS has been a fighter longer than Josh HOKIT, but Josh HOKIT, I think he can blitz the takedowns. I think he can blitz GIMENIS, show him the hands, and probably get him out of there. But is he as confident as the books have? Am I as confident in him as the books have him? Maybe, maybe not. But we'll definitely see exactly how these styles clash because Max GIMENIS, he's a huge guy. Do I see him getting ran over by Josh HOKIT with a takedown? I don't know. Again, there's not a lot of footage. If you guys were able to find some footage on him, please share it with me because all that I've been able to see was jiu-jitsu competitions, and he's legit. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely legit. He has a couple finishes on under his record, but the level of competition isn't the same. 9-9, 7-8-1, 1-3. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of low-level guys, a lot of dirt bags. Josh HOKIT 6-0. We've seen him in LFA. We've seen him in Bellator. Contender Series, got the knockout 2 months ago. I'm going to say he comes through and knocks him out, but what happens when GIMENIS takes him down? That's the only interesting thing about this fight. Can he take him down? Can he trip him? And if he does, when he ends up in top position, what does HOKIT do? He's probably going to explode to his feet. And a guy as credentialed as GIMENIS is in jiu-jitsu can definitely be a big issue. If you look at the Dante Johnson fight last week where he took on Cedric Dumas, blitzed him, got taken down, and Dumas used his aggression against him. If Dumas was a high-level jiu-jitsu guy like Max GIMENIS is, I could definitely see him finding a sub because he had Dante Johnson in some compromised positions, but he's not that experienced enough to exploit it. So that's something I'm going to say. Maybe Josh HOKIT runs through him, probably, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Josh HOKIT sitting at minus 400, Max GIMENIS plus 300. No over-under line yet, but I'm pretty sure the under 1.5 is probably minus 200. So I'm going to lean Josh HOKIT by knockout. Definitely want to see how the fight plays out. Next fight, we got Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm picking Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I think she's going to run through Mayra. Not necessarily finish her, but don't get me wrong, she definitely can. Bigger female, especially at this weight class. I know Mayra is dropping down, but she's pretty undersized against Cavalcanti, especially. She's been on this 3-fight losing streak where she got sliced up by Macy Chiasson with the ground and pound. Losing to Jasmine Jastrovici is getting busted up in that fight too, and then also losing to Raquel Pennington in the championship fight. She hasn't really looked the same since this no contest over Holly Holm, where she tested positive for some banned substances. According to her, it was some Adderall that she took, but who knows what was slipped in there. riding a 3-fight losing streak, hasn't really looked good. Her striking isn't that good. Definitely wants to get the fight to the mat. But her jiu-jitsu, I don't think is going to match up with Cavalcanti's pressure, aggression. Her striking is pretty crisp too. We saw her take on Julia Alvia a couple months ago. Looked really good. Nora Cornell said split decision, but she definitely ran through her, pieced her up in that second round, almost got her out of there. Her takedown defense is legit. I think she has really good power for this division too. Got a win over Melissa Croden 2.5 years ago, which is starting to age really well because we saw Croden come into the UFC and finish. Who did Croden just beat? I forgot. But coming to the UFC and get a finish, and then Cavalcanti having her on her resume definitely ages well. I think Cavalcanti wins unanimous decision. I will say there will be opportunities for her to find a finish, but I wouldn't go out and bet it. But I am picking Cavalcanti. I think she runs through Bueno Silva. We look at the line, minus 255 plus 215 for Bueno Silva. Makes a lot of sense for me. Over, under, minus 400, 2.5 rounds. Yeah, I'm probably going to say it's a decision. And it should be 30-27, 29-28. I don't really see Myra Bueno Silva having success looking for submissions off of her back, or I don't think she's going to be able to take Cavalcanti down. Her takedowns have never been the best. It's a lot of like clinch work and then trips. I think Cavalcanti is way more she's way more polished for that to work against her. I think Cavalcanti is going to look good. I think she's going to win unanimous decision. Next fight, we got Adrian Yanez taking on Christian QUIñONEZ. This is a good fight. I am picking Adrian Yanez. I think I got to lean on his experience. I think his boxing is a little crisper. I think he can defend the takedowns from QUIñONEZ because we've seen QUIñONEZ try to mix it up with a lot of guys. Last fight out got subbed up by Randy Barcelos, but I will say he's got a nasty right hand. He's able to let it flow from that stance that he likes to be in. Hands are kind of low. Definitely lets that right hand fly, and if it touches you, it can definitely rock you. Had Barcelos hurt in that fight. I believe it was in the second round. But getting subbed by Kyung Hung King right before that definitely is nasty. He was getting pieced up, getting his leg chopped up. Got the knockout over Khalid Taha, but Taha isn't really that good. And then a Long Zhao unanimous decision. In the contender series, Yanez has been up and down with him. You know, he was a pretty hype prospect on his way up the rankings. Ran into Rob Font 2.5 years ago, got uppercutted to hell. And then right after that, on the comeback fight, Jonathan Martinez sliced him in half with those leg kicks, TKO. Got the knockout over Vinicius Salvador, who isn't really that good. And then last time, split decision to Daniel Marcos. But you could definitely see the improvements that he's been making in that fight. And I like how frequent he's been fighting compared to Christian QUIñONEZ. QUIñONEZ, I will say, he should look to wrestle in this fight. I do think he probably has a hand speed advantage, but I definitely lean Yanez as in terms of the power. And I think Yanez will be a little crisper with the boxing combinations. I think he can manage his striking from range too. I don't see him getting grappled and taken down super easily by QUIñONEZ. I think he'll be able to defend. I think he can reverse positions in the clinch and get QUIñONEZ's back on the fence and probably get some damage off there. So I'm going to pick Yanez. I think he could find a knockout with QUIñONEZ's hand so low. I think if they exchange shots in the pocket, I think Adrian could get another highlight reel knockout. So I'm going Yanez via knockout. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a decision either. Minus 240 for Adrian, plus 205 for QUIñONEZ. I wish it was a little closer on the money. What did he open up as? Yeah, minus 140. Definitely wish it was around that still, but I got some good confidence in Yanez. Next fight, we got Jamal Emmers taking on Haider Amil. This is a good fight. This is a good style clash, definitely. Jamal Emmers, really good from range. Definitely got a fast 1-2. I think he's got pretty big hands for his size too. You've seen him last time out, knocked out Gabriel Miranda, but he was facing some adversity, almost got submitted prior to that knockout. Right before that, got knocked out by Nate Landwehr, and then knocking out Dennis Bazookia in the first round. I think it only took him like 30 seconds, and then a Jack Jenkins split decision loss. It's a fairly solid record for Jamal Emmers. But on the other side, we got Hyder Amil. Yes, he knocked out Fernie Garcia, but he was a bantamweight. We got Jung Young Lee, who hasn't really looked that good in the UFC, but he's got pretty decent boxing. And then William Gomes, split decision, and then getting blitzed by Jose Delgado. But we just saw Jose Delgado do fairly well against Nathaniel Wood. I thought he won that fight. I'm going to pick Amil here. I think he can get through Emmers 1-2. I think he can blitz him, get him against the cage, especially seeing that we're in the apex. Smaller distance for Emmers to prance around with that style that he likes to fight with. I think Amil is going to create a lot of psychotic pressure, and that's something that we've seen Emmers struggle with, especially you go back and look at the Nate Landwehr fight, where he was getting some success. Some success with his striking early, but then we see Nate Landwehr able to find a shot. I think a similar situation can definitely happen in this fight. I think Amil will be the hammer rather than the nail in this matchup. I don't think Emmers has the same. I don't think he's as crisp as Delgado is. Like, yes, his striking is really good. He does have some sleepy power. But I think Amil, I think his chin will be all right. I think his chin will be all right in this matchup. It is, whoever wins this fight, I do think it'll be by knockout. But we've also seen, guys change the approach. Hyder Amil definitely will use some wrestling. We saw that in the Fernie Garcia fight. He tried to go to it in the Gomes fight, but Gomes is pretty slick with his movement, and takedown defense is pretty good too. I do think Amil's probably going to come out here and grapple. We saw that with the Radke Frunza fight. I think Amil makes the adjustment. I think he's going to bring the chaotic pressure early and then mix in the wrestling. It doesn't even matter if Jamal Emmers gets back to his feet. I think he's going to constantly, shoot the body lock position, grind him out, throw some dirty boxing in there too, elbows up against the cage. I could see Amil wearing down Jamal Emmers and probably finding the finish late round 1, round 2. So give me Hyder Amil to get the Hurricane back on the right path. Minus 133, plus 113 for Emmers. No over under on the rounds, but I would like under 2.5. Probably not a good money line on it, but under 2.5 makes the most sense to me. I will say though, Jamal Emmers' first round knockout was definitely something that interests me, but I think Hyder Amil could get through him. Main card opener, if you guys haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Marco Tulio taking on Christian Leroy Duncan. This is a good fight. I am a huge Marco Tulio fan. I like CLD. I think CLD wins. This is a fight that I'm honestly back and forth on. Marco Tulio is a nasty striker. Can definitely strike from range. Can definitely blitz you in the pocket. We saw the knockout against Tresean Gore. We saw the Potiera knockout. I think CLD will be able to counter him here. There's a lot of moments where Marco Tulio overshoots his shots and he can get clipped. We saw it in the Contender Series fight. Got clipped, got wobbled. We saw it in the Gore fight. Got clipped, got wobbled. I think CLD is super precise. I think he's super clean with his kickboxing. He can incorporate wrestling. I know Tulio is a shoot-the-box Diego Lima guy. His grappling is pretty solid too. But I think CLD has the better wrestling, not jiu-jitsu. I think his wrestling is a little better. We saw him get grappled up by RoboCop, or the wrestling, and then top pressure from RoboCop in that matchup. We've also seen him bounce back from that and take on a long, lanky, nasty striker in Andre Puyaev, but it was a lot of clinch work, there was a lot of cage work, and then later in that third round, he was looking for the finish. First round finish against Eric Anders last time up. He was able to get that spinning elbow. Granted, it was after a nut shot and after a eye poke, but Eric Anders has been durable his entire career, and for Christian Leroy to be the first guy to finish him, I was not necessarily impressed because I called it, but I knew that it was going to happen. Tulio definitely is nasty, though. He is at a range disadvantage, 74.5 inch reach compared to 79. I think CLD is probably faster. And like I said, Marco Tulio, he will overcommit on a lot of shots and leave himself open to the counters. I think CLD is going to be able to capitalize that. I think he'll be able to time him blitzing in with his shots and probably drop down for a takedown, or even just work in the clinch and turn Tulio up against the cage, get some dirty boxing, the knees to the body, the elbow over the top. He's been working those spinning elbows in lately too, so maybe we see an element of that in this matchup, especially with Tulio overcommitting. I could definitely see him CLD dip down, come back with the spinning elbow over the top. I think this is going to be a barn burner. Is there a finish? I don't know. It can either be a high-paced action fight, or it's going to be a slower paced matchup with CLD using the wrestling. So this is an interesting fight. I'm going to be back and forth all week. I already know it. This morning, honestly, I was telling myself, Tulio could win it. Yesterday I was on CLD, but Friday is when we'll lock in for sure who's going to win after we see the scales. So I'm going CLD initially, but I will say I've been back and forth a lot on this matchup. CLD plus 165, minus 190 for Marco Tulio. Let's see what people on Tapology are saying. Tulio knockout, yeah. So a lot of people are riding for Tulio to get the knockout. I don't think CLD has been finished. Yeah, he's only got 2 decision losses, and we saw him take on a power puncher in Gregory Rodriguez. Granted, he got dominated with the wrestling, but he created a couple of moments in the striking against RoboCop, split him open. Armin Petrosian is a pretty good striker from distance too. He had a reach advantage in that one, but Petrosian at that point in time, he was still looking like he was on the up and up. I think CLD can win, man. I think CLD can win. I think he is going to win. Split decision, unanimous decision. I think he's going to create more moments with or he's going to nullify the moments that Tulio has with the wrestling, put him on his back, and probably go to town there. So I'm leaning CLD. Early lean CLD. Next fight, we got Ricky Simón taking on Raoni Barcelos. I'm picking Ricky Simón. I will say, though, third round Ricky Simón is not the same guy in the first 2 rounds. First 2 rounds, he's on the wrestling pressure. He's on you like white on rice. Definitely throw some power shots with the hooks in the red zone. Third round against Smotherman, who took that fight on third notice, he was boxing Ricky Simón up. And he doesn't really have the greatest power. He has put out guys in the regional scene, and the UFC hasn't really done so. I know he beat Jake Hadley, and then shortly after that, he went in and took on Siri City, and he was getting pieced up against Siri City. But that third round, Ricky Simón definitely wasn't looking like the same guy. Prior to that, got the knockout over Javid Bashar in that first round, and then he was riding that 3-fight losing streak. But it's against really good contenders. Vinicius Oliveira, who's a nasty bantamweight, Mario Bautista, who we just saw fight Umar Nurmagomedov, and then Song Yadong, who's been top 10 in the bantamweight division for a while now. Barcelos riding a 3-fight winning streak. Peyton Talbot win, uber impressive. Christian QUIñONEZ sub right before that, and then beating Cody Garbrandt. But he'd had a couple of moments where Garbrandt was getting off with the boxing. Garbrandt definitely has a strike speed advantage over Ricky Simón, but Ricky Simón, he's going to grind you out. He's going to be on you like white on rice, going to be shooting takedown after takedown, trying to grind you out, get you down, do some work there. Barcelos can definitely work himself up back to the feet. His striking from range is slightly better, but I don't think he creates the same pop that Ricky Simón has. And we've seen Barcelos rocked a couple of times. I think Ricky could time some overhands. Probably have Barcelos backing up a lot in this fight, worried about the wrestling defense. I think Ricky Simón should look good. That third round, I do worry about him. It's not like he has terrible cardio, but I have seen him slow down in that third round. He does put out a high pace. I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep it up. He's been in, some wars in the UFC. That fight with Mario Bautista was pretty back and forth, but Bautista got the better of him. Ran into like the similar machine that he ran into. Fought Merab back in the day. Beat Merab actually. I think Ricky's going to look good, but like I said, that third round could definitely get a little testy. Barcelos does have some pretty good striking, but I think Ricky's going to be able to smother him. Should be able to bag 2 rounds, 29-28, Ricky Simón. Minus 153 for Ricky, plus 133 for Raoni. I think Ricky should look good here. Next fight, we got Ismael Bonfim taking on Chris Taco Padilla. If you guys have been watching me for a little bit now, you know we locked up Taco Padilla in his last fight against Jai Herbert. Split decision. Was a little testy, but we got it through. So former lock of the week, Ismael Bonfim. I don't really think he's good, man. I think he's the worst of the brothers, honestly. I do think he's aggressive. I like his kicks. Will utilize the leg kick. I think he lacks IQ in moments, though. If you go back and look at that Nazim Salikhov fight, he's like begging for Salikhov to keep kicking his liver, and he did. And then he caught him with the head kick, which is what led to the doctor stoppage. There was nothing wrong with his eye. Granted, he went in the corner and said that he couldn't see anymore. I think he just got blasted, was not able to continue. Win over Vince Pichel after getting submitted by BSD. Again, another low IQ moment where he was super high action in that fight against BSD, and BSD was able to take him down, use his own aggression against him, and get the submission. I just question his fight IQ. I think Padilla is way more tactical. I think his strike defense is phenomenal. We saw him get that doctor stoppage over Rong Zhu with that step in elbow that he threw. I think he could create something off of with that elbow again against Bonfim. We saw him smother Jai Herbert. Yes, it was a boring decision, but he got the work done. I think he can use Bonfim's aggression against him. We haven't seen him really look as patient as he had, or as he should be. You know, he's been riding off of this Terrence McKinney TKO 3 years ago now, but I can't pick Bonfim here. I think his striking can be countered pretty easily against Padilla, who's got really good boxing. I think Padilla mixes in the wrestling really well. I think Padilla should come through and win by decision. I got Padilla as a confident call. I think, granted, you know, this fight it was put together kind of short notice. Bonfim was wanting to be on the same card as his brother Padilla. I know has been working recently. I think Padilla should win. I think it'll be probably a close decision, but the line has grew a little bit. Minus 200 for Ismael, plus 170 for plus 170 for Padilla. I thought it was plus 205 for a minute. Hold on now. But I think Padilla's going to look good in this matchup. I think Bonfim going to be super aggressive, tire himself out. I can see Padilla not really getting caught with much. Jai Herbert had little success clipping him with anything. And I think Padilla's strike defense is going to come through in this matchup. I can see him forcing Bonfim to just be out of his element. I think Padilla is going to come through, look really good, get some shots off, use the wrestling, take Bonfim down, have him on his back for a majority of the round, control him, and get some ground and pound going. So I'm going Chris Padilla to win this fight, unanimous decision. Featured fighter tonight, we got Muslim Salikhov taking on Uros the Dr. Medic. Killing me with these breakdowns, man. Initial lean, I'm going Muslim Salikhov. If you don't like the pick, I don't blame you. Fight does not go the distance is something that I would look at here. Both of these guys can definitely knock each other out. Medic, we've seen dropped and dropped and dropped. Gilbert Urbina drops him first exchange, then he comes back and knocks out Gilbert Urbina. Punahele Soriano knocks him out right before that. Tim Means got the knockout over Tim Means. Orlabai, tough matchup against him, or for him. And then a knockout over Matthew Summersberg. I don't know what it is with Uros Medic. Like, he's pretty young. He's 32 compared to, Salikhov. He's young. He's quick. He's athletic. He's got pretty good striking, definitely from distance, I would say. Whereas Muslim Salikhov, if you close the distance with him, he can land that overhand right against Carlos Leao like he did. That was a freakish knockout, if I'm gonna be honest, though, because Leao, if you noticed, his back looked noticeably different than when he fought Rinat Fakhretdinov. Maybe there's a little bit of performance enhancing substances that he was using that he got off of, and that's why Salikhov was able to knock him out. Right before that, spinning wheel kick knockout over Kanan Song, tremendous. And then Santiago Ponzinibbio, split decision, does not age well in my opinion. I think Ponzinibbio has been washed prior to that. I know he had some issues. I think it was like with his heart or something like that. Had some artery issue. Got knocked out by Randy Brown. and then lost to Nicholas Dalby prior to that. Salikhov is a good striker, though. Kung Fu striking. He's got really good kicks. He's got power, especially in that red zone. It's really just who gets clipped first. I want to see the scales. Definitely want to see what Salikhov looks like before I really lock in a pick. But I don't know. If you don't, if you don't like the pick under 1.5, fight does not go the distance, or Medic via Kiel to show that, you know, Salikhov is 41. He needs to get up out of here. But I don't know, man. There's like an interesting way of Muslim Salikhov to keep finding, well, at least 2 finishes back to back, where Uros Medic, we've seen stiff. Granted, he's been able to pop back up, but he was stiff when Gilbert dropped him, got back up, knocked him out. Stiff when Punahele put him out. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if the doctor's got the antidote for Salikhov. If he does, hey, maybe he does. But initial lean, I'm going to go Muslim. I'm not confident in it at all. So I am confident in fight does not go the distance, though. I think one of these guys are going out. Plus 155 for Muslim, minus 180 for Uros Medic. Definitely some growth on the line. Minus 200 at open. Damn. Went up to minus 110. Now we're sitting at minus 180. Muslim plus 155 opened. It was a coin flip momentarily. Now he's sitting at plus 155. Yeah, fight. Did we get an over-under in that one? Over-under 1.5 plus 140. Yeah. Under 1.5 in my opinion. If you're expecting to finish, that's what I'm expecting. I think one of these guys are going down. I think it's Medic getting clipped again. We've seen him put out. We've also seen Muslim Salikhov put out, but who knows, man? Who knows? This is tough. I think Salikhov has the power, whereas Medic has the speed. Medic does have some really good kicks. I don't know. Salikhov just pulls something out of the bag whenever he does. So it's weird, man. It's definitely weird. Friday, we'll lock in the pick for sure. Next fight, co-main event, which I hope definitely isn't, but this is what they're giving us. Matt Schnell taking on Joseph Morales. I'm picking Joseph Morales. I think he's better everywhere than Matt Schnell. Other than the boxing, I think Matt Schnell does have some really good boxing, but he retired, and then he came back and fought Jimmy Flick. But I also picked Jimmy Flick in that matchup. Wasn't the worst pick, honestly. Jimmy Flick had Matt Schnell in a couple of submission attempts, was hunting those subs anytime that he could. Matt Schnell was rolling with him a lot. Low IQ moment, in my opinion. He definitely was trying to find a submission of his own, but just spending a lot of time on that mat. I don't think he's going to be able to scramble out of things against Joseph Morales, who's a better wrestler than Jimmy Flick. Definitely has better striking than Jimmy Flick. I think he has better striking than Matt Schnell, too. I think Morales will be able to control him. I think he could probably clip him, too. We've seen Schnell's chin fade him time and time again. Mateus Nicolau knockout. Steve Erceg slammed his head off the mat and then losing to by a ninja choke versus Cody Durden. Low IQ, again. Scrambling for things when they're not there, and Cody Durden was able to lock him in that choke. Coming off the retirement, I don't think it was a smart decision. Granted, it was against a Jimmy Flick, but this is Joseph Morales, who's super motivated, was in the UFC prior to his exit a couple years ago. Ran into Figgy when he was making his surge to the top. Was released, fought into the Ultimate Fighter, got a couple wins in Cage Warriors, 2 wins in Ultimate Fighter, and then finished Alibi Idris, who had a lot of hype coming into that Ultimate Fighter finale. Subbed him up in the second round, I believe it was. Super impressive. Idris definitely a better striker than Matt Schnell. I think Morales grapples Matt Schnell up, probably dominates him. I could see a finish being live, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's a unanimous decision either. So going Joseph Morales to win. I think the minus 270 odds is pretty accurate. Plus 230 for Matt Schnell makes a lot of sense to me. Over 1.5, minus 170. Fight goes the distance, plus money. Fight ends inside the distance. Yeah. I think Joseph Morales could put him out. I think he could sub him. I think he could get a TKO, ground and pound. Club and sub is definitely there. So I think Joseph Morales is live to finish match now. Can't trust his chin. Danger, yeah, his chin is the danger in this fight. So Joseph Morales to win. And we're on to the main event. If you guys haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Gabriel Mahetina Bonfim. I'm leaning Rude Boy side, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to pick Randy Brown, so I did more tape study this morning. And I gotta say, Gabriel Bonfim does not move his head off the center line. His striking is pretty clunky. I know this fight is either gonna go one or two ways, in my opinion. It's either gonna be, well, I can see it going three ways. It's either gonna be Bonfim by sub, but I think Randy Brown has really good jiu-jitsu. I think his takedown defense is pretty good. I think his submission defense is pretty good. We saw him reverse. Granted, it was later in the fight against Alessio Zolecki dos Santos. He was able to get out of that submission attempt and reverse the position, get his own damage going. Or I think Randy Brown can knock out Bonfim. We saw Bonfim struggle against Wonderboy Thompson. Granted, who's a completely different striker than Randy Brown, was able to time the head kick, dazed him, wobbled him, and in my opinion, I think Wonderboy won that fight, and I think that's a large reason why Tapology, everybody on Tapology is picking Randy Brown by KO. But I think it makes a lot of sense. The boxing from range is there. I think Randy Brown has good power for his size as well. I think Randy Brown, his takedown defense is going to hold up. We saw him be able to, defend the takedowns from Brian Battle, who was smothering him up against the cage. I think Randy Brown can deal with the pressure from Bonfim, who will let his hands fly at times. I went back and looked. I will say he was a different fighter after the Dalby knockout. Looked really composed and patient against Angelusa, but Angelusa is trash. Like, he's definitely trash. Got cut from the UFC for a reason, because he's trash. Then he subbed up Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams has power, and that's it. Does not have any technical striking game. Doesn't have a jab. He utilizes just wild hooks and big shots. I think he's trash too. And then he got a win over Stephen Thompson, but when it got testy, he got hurt, got clipped, and I think Wonderboy won that fight. Granted, Bonfim did have him in an early sub attempt, but when Wonderboy was able to get out of it and fight back, he was able to win the fight, in my opinion, not on paper. I think Randy Brown will have good submission defense. I think Randy Brown will have good takedown defense. When the striking gets going, I favor Randy Brown with this 6.5 or 5.5 inch reach advantage, 6.5 inch reach advantage, whatever it is. Brown's got really good power. I will say, Randy Brown did break his hand after the Nicholas Dalby knockout. He was wearing a cast back in June, back in July, I believe, too. Has been training, so it's been healing for 3 months now. It is quite of a, I'd say it's like a moderate flag. Marco Tulio, I forgot to mention, also broke his hand against Trayshawn Gore, who he was wearing a cast back in August too. So that's something to note if you guys think he's going to knock him out. Forgot to mention that, but it just clicked in my head. Marco Tulio also broke his hand. So we got two guys with broken hands. But Randy Brown, coming off the broken hand, coming off the knockout over Nicholas Dalby, we've seen him be able to roll with punches really well. Bonfim does have a good lead leg kick, but Randy Brown, he's a really skinny frame guy, and Bonfim's going to be clinking up against a lot of bone. I think Randy Brown's going to be his defense is going to hold up in this matchup. We go through Randy Brown's record. He's been fairly good in the UFC. Vicente Luque put him out. Nico Price put him out. These are old losses, though. Sub to Mike Graves. So, let's see. UFC record, he's 14-6. Most recently lost to JDM, champion. Last loss was the Brian Battle, but that could have went his way. So, really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-fight winning streak. He's got finishes throughout. I think he's really good. Definitely if you compare his resume to Bonfim's, at least in the UFC, doesn't really hold a candle. Wonderboy split decision, where a lot of people thought, and I thought he lost. Chaos Williams, yeah, they're both on each other's resume, and Bonfim has the finish, but I don't really rate it that high. Different times when they fought too. Angelusa win, no. Nicholas Dalby, TKO, quit in that fight. Trevin Giles, submission. I I don't really rate it that high. I went back and watched his contender series fight against Trey Waters, who's also a long kickboxer. Yeah, he got the finish, but there were moments in the striking where Bonfim was getting clipped by that right hand. And I think Randy Brown could time something too. I think he's going to be able to defend the takedowns fairly well. I will say, if this fight goes past if it goes past 2.5, then I can see the Bonfim side coming through. But I don't know, man. His gas has not been that great either. It's been improving, but it's not that great. Like, it didn't look that great against Wonderboy. I think Randy Brown, who's been tested, who's been in the UFC for a while, I think he could find a shot on Bonfim. I'm not saying his only path is by knockout. I think he could win a decision too. He creates a lot of damage even when he's taken down. You go back and look at that Dos Santos fight. He was on his back, but he was also creating damage with the elbows. Broke out of the submissions, reversed the position, and was getting off his own ground and pound. Even threw in his own submission attempt in there too. So I don't know. Randy Brown's definitely a live dog. I like him in this matchup. I think he could beat Bonfim and set things right. You know, when guys come off of a robbery, sometimes justice is due, and I'm going with Randy Rude Boy to set things right. I think he could find the shot. I think he's gonna knock him out. Plus 145 for Rude Boy, minus 170 for Bonfim. I get it. The pressure, the pace, the wrestling, I get it. Over 2.5, minus 120. I don't know. You're playing with fire, man. I like Randy Brown's aggression. You go back and look at the Dos Santos fight. He was walking forward. He was throwing big shots. I know Battle was able to get him up against the cage, but Battle also missed weight in that fight. He's supposed to be a middleweight. Got cut from the UFC because of it. Finished Nicholas Dalby. We need to see what that right hand looks like. If that right hand doesn't have the same pop on it in that first round, then it could get a little ugly for Rude Boy. But I'm going Randy Rude Boy to win. I think he can knock out Gabriel Bonfim. I think the takedown defense is going to hold up. His jiu-jitsu is pretty sound. I know he was a brown belt not too long ago. I think he's a black belt now. Wonder if we could get that info on Tapology. Probably not. But I follow him on social media. I've been following him for a while now. I think he's really good, man. I think this is his time to make a run into the rankings. It was stifled by JDM, but I think he sets the course right. I think he could find a finish over Gabriel Bonfim. So I'm going Rude Boy to get justice for Jamaica, who just had that nasty storm come through, Hurricane Melissa. I think Randy Brown's going to set things right for the Jamaican people. So that is what I got for UFC Fight Night, Bonfim versus Brown. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. You know what's coming down the pipeline later. We got the lock of the week, most confident picks, favorite underdogs, parlays galore. We got the weigh-in recap. We got the full card recap right after the fights are done. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you sharing. Hit the post notification buttons. If you guys want to support the channel, the Cashapp is there. I appreciate it all. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.